guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to be talking to you guys about baby sleep and finding what works for you. In terms of my sleep journey and how it all worked out, I'm going to probably take it in 6-month stages, and that way it can kind of give you a picture of how we kind of started in the generic route of sleep and how we got to a point of figuring out that actually co-sleeping is comfortable for us. So at 0 to 6, obviously children don't really have a set sleeping pattern, and I probably have to say you can start to figure out what your baby is like when they're in the womb. So for me, Riley was actually a very active child in the night time, and it kind of made sense because when he was born his activity translated into that. So he was more engaged at night time, definitely preferred to bulk feed at night time, and was just constantly a bit more alert at night time. And I think for me it was also a mix of trying to follow the breastfed only route then meant that I felt like I was waking up a lot more. So initially the first 6 months we were kind of struggling with finding our fit around what Riley's sleep pattern was. I got lots of advice, and I'm sure lots of people get advice from family, friends and other loved ones, colleagues, whoever's in your life, and people will say, well, I did this with my child, or I did that with my child, and every child is different, so you're going to find that actually what someone else is doing might not necessarily work for you. I had everything that I think parents probably get for their children. So we were kitted out, we had the Moses basket, we had swaddling blankets and all sorts, and we quickly came to realise that our child didn't like the feeling of being restricted, so he didn't like being swaddled, and kind of instantly hated sleeping on his back. Now in the UK they advise that children sleep on their back just because then there won't be any obstruction to their face or their breathing. However, because of my heritage in Zimbabwe, I find that a lot of children that I've come across, and even when I spoke to my mum, we slept on our tummies. With Riley, he had a lot of tummy issues, and naturally once I put him on his tummy he would sleep for much longer. He would sleep for like a burst of 4 hours instead of like 45 minutes, 2 hours. And so I kind of then discarded my midwife's advice. I'm not saying you should do that, but I did, and I was happy to do that, but I was also aware of the risks. So yeah, the only way that we got him to settle for a long enough burst in his sleeping was on his tummy. Then we got to about 6 to 12 months, and you've now thrown in a teething into the bag. We're starting to wean, we're starting to find that our baby's hungrier. How can we sustain him for longer? And also we are now getting to a point where I'm readjusting and I have to get ready to go back to work. How am I going to get through a full night and be ready for a full day of work? So we then introduced things like porridge and stuff like that right before bedtime, bath routines, and again found that when he was in his next to me he wasn't as settled. So because I was still breastfeeding, I would naturally roll him into our bed. That became the norm, but I actually found that it became the norm and he would settle for longer. We had good sort of 6-hour sleeps for him, and that for me was like, wow, this is amazing. So actually it's not that bad. And at the time we were in a 2-bed flat property, and I, in my opinion, made the error of having a nursery fully set up, fully kitted out for this child that just never ever slept in his nursery, and it was beautiful but not functional. And that's another thing that I think parents need to think about when it comes to your baby and sleep. What's functional, practical for you? So I quickly realised that my child was yearning for closeness, comfort, and that's how he fell asleep. So from 1.5 to 2, we quickly realised that he now had this attachment with bedtime, being with a parent, caressing, cuddle, and I think that for me really cemented that there was no way that we were going to force the sleep training, and I had tried. So we've got to a point where there's independent sleeping in the sense of lie down, close your eyes, let's go to bedtime to sleep, and that's okay. However, the comfort of having parents or turning in the middle of the night and knowing that someone's there, you know, works for him, and that's actually been good, and we've continued to speak about it and review it. Practice safe co-sleeping in the sense of considerations about the size of your duvet tog, any blankets you use, how high your pillows are. All of that had to change to kind of accommodate our little one. We got much softer pillows. They're basically non-existent, but he just rolls between. And although we still have his bed on the side and we try and encourage him to go in there, he can do bedtime and be in there for about 4 hours. But at some point he will come and find us and navigate his way into the middle. The most important thing about co-sleeping is assessing your needs. Firstly, as a parent, the benefit, I think, is there because you're actually going to get a full night's sleep with a restless child, but also you have to make sure you do co-sleeping safely and, you know, take considerations about how they're covered, how low you and your partner sleep, how are you going to roll over their little limbs. You're checking on them as well, listening in on their breathing. But for me, I think it just makes my parenting experience a bit more enhanced. I generally always know what's going on with Riley throughout the night, and I don't feel nervous. You know, I can sense, there are no times when he's poorly and he's got a little temperature. I literally know it because his body heat radiates onto mine, and so I'm kind of one step ahead. It's not a surprise. Or if he's having a coughing fit, you know, I'm right there, and for me it gives me that extra comfort. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me sharing about our experience with baby sleep and how actually the conventional route didn't work for us, and we tried a few different things but got to a point where we felt like we put our child's needs first and it worked for us in balance with everything else we're doing. And I hope for anyone who's thinking about co-sleeping or feels like, am I doing the right thing, definitely drop some questions down below and I can give you a bit more detail about my personal experience. And let me know if you've tried co-sleeping or are a co-sleeper yourself. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Bye.